So on that, Vashisht, what are the scheme-related documents?
3 documents: the SID, the Scheme Information Document, the KIM, the Key Information Memorandum, and the SAI, the Statement of Additional Information. Broadly, SID is your operating framework for any scheme. So when any scheme is launched, first the AMC goes and shares a draft with SEBI. If SEBI has any objections, then they will flag it to the AMC. Once that process is over, the AMC has to upload it on SEBI's website, where it stays there for, I think, 8 working days for public comments. They can do it. Usually, I don't think anyone goes and comments on these things. Once that period is over, then the AMC is allowed to launch the scheme and do their NFO. This will tell you where the scheme can invest in, what will be the asset allocation, what is the overall fees maximum that they can charge, who the fund managers are, all the information you need, how the valuation will work, what instruments they're allowed to invest in, and so on. Everything will be there in SID. This SID is actually shared with the fund accountant and the custodians. They will refer to it when they are valuing your holdings, when they are doing their fund accounting, when they're and even your compliance. If you're setting up rules in your order management systems, you have to do it as per the SID. So, for example, if it's equity scheme and your maximum is or your minimum is say 65% equity, so that comes from the SID. You can't breach it, which is why you have to put it in your order management system. Those rules. The KIM, the Key Information Memorandum, is like the highlights of the SID. So if you only want the essential information you care about and not the boilerplate, then you go to the KIM. It will give you all the highlights, who the fund managers are, what the scheme is doing, and so on. The SAI is it's the overall document for the AMC
Fund house.
Yeah, for the mutual fund. It will tell you who the sponsor is, who the AMC is, who the trustees are, who are the board of directors, who are the key management personnel, their education and professional backgrounds, the financial status of these companies. So everything you need to learn about the 3 entities that make up a mutual fund, the sponsor, the AMC, and the trustee, and all the KMPs involved, you'll get it in the SAI.
Okay, got it. Monthly fact sheets, are they a scheme-related document? It's actually the only one I seem to keep getting constantly.
It's a marketing document. It's not mandated. It's best practice followed by all AMCs, where we send out a monthly fact sheet. Also because a lot of these information aggregators needed this. So the fact sheet becomes the place where you get all these things, where you disclose a bunch of things. It's anyway, all the information you have in a fact sheet, your holdings, your fees, and AUM, and so on, you are anyway going to disclose it on a monthly basis as part of regulations on your website. This is like you collect all of it, put it in a nice looking document, make it easy for investors to see it.
So like a quick reference.
Yeah.
All right. Fair. So Deepak, we have the landscape of what these documents are. I have a confession to make. I don't think I'll spend much of my life reading scheme information documents or scheme related documents. So on that, have you spent a lot of time reading these? And do they matter? I mean, other than perhaps being this boilerplate thing we ask for.
I used to read IPO documents for stocks, right? So it is complicated, and after a while, you get a feel for where to look and what to look for. But the thing is that you have to read these documents end to end just to understand whether you get a feel for the numbers and a feel for the risk factors, and so on. SIDs are somewhat similar in the sense that if you're nerdy about it like I was, you probably want to look through them to see if there's something interesting out there. But by and large, they've become boilerplate in the sense that almost everybody does everything similarly. But it is the structural document. So for instance, if you have a flexi cap fund, you want to say, I have the flexibility to invest, I can invest in X and Y and Z, but I can't invest in foreign securities unless the SID says that I can invest in foreign securities. And if there is such a clause, there needs to be at least 2 fund managers, one for the Indian stocks and one specifically for the non-Indian stocks in that sense. So if that is done, that is something that is part of the SID. The SID also mentions a few things. For instance, who the fund manager is, what the fund manager has done in the past in terms of managing other funds and so on. But it'll also tell you this is the different options that are available for you as an investor to invest. For instance, I might have a dividend growth. I might now it's no longer called dividend, IDCW and growth. We might say regular and direct. There is an option of doing an SIP, but we have only a monthly SIP. Another scheme can have a weekly SIP and so on. What's the minimum SIP that you can do? Some places 100 rupees, some places 1,000 rupees. What's the minimum lump sum that you can do? It's 5,000 rupees or 1,000 rupees. So you have all these details sitting in the SID that gives you the information, and also some esoteric information about what happens when you invest in certain categories. So if I invest in derivatives, what does it mean, and how much can I invest in derivatives, and what's the specific way that I will value looking at securities derivatives, how the scheme will go through examples of what it means when I do covered calls, if I'm doing covered calls, and so on. So there's a lot of documentation that's in a large document format, maybe 140 pages, a lot of which is repeated across multiple funds of the same category, but usually too dry to read unless you are very new to the subject and you don't understand anything. You will find that this is generally something that you've read once, then you probably read forever.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully. Past performance may or may not be sustained in future and is not a guarantee of any future returns.